In this video, we will discuss the function and its type in Python language. So we will cover various types of functions, that is built-in functions, user-defined functions, anonymous functions, recursive functions, and further the various types of argument that we pass into the function like positional argument, keyword arguments, default arguments, variable length arguments, and further another type of function that is call by value and call by reference. So let us start. Here first comes the definition of the function. The function is just a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. Advantages: the code reusability, that is we can reuse the code again and again by just calling the functions. Second is it's improve the readability. If we break a large program in various functions, then it becomes more readable. And third one is the easier debugging and maintenance. If there is any error or if we want to debug the program, then it becomes easy to debug if it is divided into functions. Now if we talk about the syntax, then the functions in Python is declared by using the def keyword followed by the function name. If we see the example, here we have used the def keyword followed by name of the function, which is greet, and in bracket we pass the name of the arguments, and then we return the value. Like in this example, we have passed the name argument. In return, we are returning hello followed by whatever the argument that we have passed in greet. Now type of the function, basically broadly we can classify the functions into four types: built-in functions, user-defined functions, lambda functions, and recursive functions. The built-in functions are the predefined functions which are already available in the Python, like print, len, sum, etc. User-defined functions are created by the programmer or the user. And the lambda functions are also called anonymous functions. These are the one-line functions created with lambda keyword. And recursive functions are the functions that call itself. Now we will discuss all these one by one. First, the basic is how to call and how to define and call a function. The function is basically defined, as we have discussed in previous slide, defined by using the def keyword. And to call the function, what we have to do, we have to just print, we have to just write the name of the function followed by the argument. Like in this example, we have defined a function add, and we have passed two arguments, a and b. The function return the sum of the two arguments, and in result we have called result is equal to add. Now here we have called the functions just by typing the name of the function and passing the arguments. So just to call the function, what you have to do, just write the name of the function and the argument in the bracket. Now if we talk about the argument are basically the values that are passed to the function when it is called. There are basically four types of argument in Python, called positional argument, keyword argument, default arguments, and variable length arguments. Now if we talk about the positional argument are the arguments that are assigned based upon their position in the function call. Now let's see the example. Suppose we have a function subtract and we have passed two arguments a and b, and it returns a minus b. Now if we call this function by passing 10, 5, the output will be 5. Why it is 5? Because a will be assigned the value 10, b will be assigned the value 5, and 10 minus 5 is 5. And again if we call again this function by reversing the order of the argument, that is instead of 10, 5, we are now calling by passing 5, 10, then the output will be minus 5, because now a is 5 and b is 10. So by just changing the order of the argument, the output changes. So the order of the argument matters. Further, number of argument also matters. If while defining the function we have given the two argument, and while calling we pass one or more than two argument, then it will give the error. Next is the keyword argument. The argument which are passed by the name to the function, they are called the keyword argument. Now consider the example. Suppose we have a function introduce and we have passed two arguments. One is the name, second is the age, and this function returns that my name is then whatever the name we have passed, and I am age whatever the age we have passed, year old. Now if we call this function by passing the argument age is equal to 30, name is equal to Alice. While defining, name was the first argument, but when we call we have given age as the first argument, but it does not matter because now we are passing the argument by giving the name. So age will be assigned the value 30 and the name will be assigned the value Alice. So here order does not matter, but the number of argument again matter. If we have defined the function by define the function with two arguments, then while calling the function we have to pass the two arguments. Now the third one is default argument. Parameter that assumes a default value if no argument is provided is called default argument functions. Now let's see the example. Suppose we have a function greet. We have two arguments, one is name, second is message, but the message has a default value hello. Now while calling the function, if we did not provide the value for the message, then it will pick this value. Otherwise whatever the value we will provide, it will pick that value. Now let's see, we have called this function by passing only one value, that is Bob. Then it will be hello Bob because Bob will be assigned to the name and the value of the message will be the default value that has already been given. But in the second case, when we again called it by passing two values, one is Alice, second is hi, then the first value Alice will be assigned to the name and now the message will be assigned the value hi instead of default value hello. So if we provide a value, then that value will be assigned to the argument. Otherwise if we did not provide, then default value will be picked by the argument. Next comes the variable length arguments. So basically in previous argument, in the previous cases the number of arguments matters, but now suppose we have defined a function with one argument, but later on we want to give the two or three or more arguments, then this variable length argument concept will work. So basically a function that can accept more argument than it was initially defined, this is called variable length argument. These are further of two types. The first one is called non-keyword variable length argument. So non-keyword variable argument basically accept a tuple. Now consider the example. Suppose we have defined this function def. The name of the function is some numbers in bracket. Yeah, the variable length argument is identified by marking a asterisk mark. So we have marked asterisk args. So this asterisk mark defines that it is a variable length argument, basically non-keyword variable length arguments. It returns sum of args. Basically args is a tuple. Now suppose we have called this function by passing 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then what this function return? It return the sum of this 1, 2, 3 and 4. So as we can see, while defining we have just written star args, but when calling we have passed four values 1, 2, 3 and 4, and as we have discussed that it is the argument are basically in the form of tuple. So whatever the functions that can be used for the tuple, whatever the operation that we can do on the tuple, the same operation can be performed on this variable arguments. It was the non-keyword variable length. The second one is the keyword variable length arguments. So it is defined while so like non-keyword variable argument, the second type of the variable argument is keyword variable argument. So the keyword variable arguments are basically dictionary of the keywords, and these are basically defined by passing the argument which is marked as double asterisk followed by kwargs. Here kw is defined as keyword. Let's see the example. Suppose we have taken a function that is display info. In bracket we have passed keyword argument by using double asterisk symbol, and what this function do, it display the key and the value separately. So what we have used, for key comma value in key wargs dot items print key and value separately. So if we call this function by passing the three arguments, name is equal to Johan, age is equal to 25, city is equal to New York, what this function will do, because we are passing these three keywords argument, so it will take it as a dictionary, so it will separate the key values and print it as we have print it in the given format, like name colon Johan, age colon 25, city colon New York. Now let's see the example in which we are using all different type of arguments. Now here we have defined a function func. We have taken four types of argument. First one is a positional argument, default argument, then non-keyword variable length argument, then keyword variable length argument. And when we call this function by passing 1, 3, 4, 5, name is equal to Alice, age is equal to 30, what this function do, A will be assigned the first value because A is the positional argument, it will assign the first value. Now B is the default argument, it has given the default value 2, but while calling the function we have also passed value 3, so it will take this value 3, so B will be assigned the value 3. So when we print the values, the value of the A will be 1, value of the B will be 3. Next 4 and 5s are non-keyword variable length argument. So these non-keyword variable argument will be assigned to the ARGS. So ARGS will be equal to 4, 5. And the last two are, because they are the keyword variable arguments, so name and Alice, name will be print as name colon Alice, age colon 30, because they both will be taken as a dictionary, so key value pair will be printed. So because since we have discussed all these four types of argument, now some important point that we should keep in mind while using the combination of all these types of argument. The first point is, after default argument never use the non-default argument. So the default argument should always be the last argument. Second, in case of using both positional and keyword argument, the keyword argument should come after the positional argument, so never use the keyword argument before the positional. And in the last, after variable length argument, if we take any other argument, then its value must be provided by using the keyword argument, because otherwise it will not be considered in the variable length. So these points should be kept in mind while using the combination of all these four types of arguments. Now return statement is basically used to return the value from a function. So let's see the example. Suppose we have defined a function multiply, it takes the two argument a comma b, and what it return, a into b. So after multiplying, the value will be returned. Where this value will be returned? Where this function is called. Suppose we write result is equal to multiply 3 comma 4. What it means? The function will multiply 3 with the 4 and it will return the value 12, and this return value will be stored in the object results. Now next comes the anonymous function. Anonymous function is also called the lambda function. Basically, anonymous function in Python are the functions without name. Anonymous means we need not to give any name to the function. These are basically created using the keyword lambda. The syntax is use the keyword lambda and then followed by the arguments, then colon expressions. Now see the example. Suppose we have written add is equal to lambda, then argument is x comma y, then colon x plus y. What this colon represent? Colon means after the colon whatever we write, that operation will be performed on those argument. Now while calling the function, suppose we are calling this function by just writing add in bracket 5 comma 3. So there is no name is given to this function. What this function will do, whatever the expression x plus y we have written in the expression x plus y, it will plus these and give the output as 8. So the main advantage is there is no name, no return values. Return keyword is used. So advantage of this function is concise syntax. For defining simple functions, just one line we can write the function. Often used for short-term, small-scale operations. These are commonly utilized in functional programming like map, filter, reduce, and basically it eliminates the need to define the named functions for quick operations. We need not to write the name of the function or using the return keywords. The next comes the recursive functions. The recursive functions are basically those functions which call itself again and again. So there are basically one important thing is the base condition. Recursive function, there is a base condition or stop condition. So let's see the syntax. In syntax, we use a def keyword, name of the function, we pass the parameters, and the first line is the base condition. If base condition is true, then return the value, otherwise return a different value. Now let's see the example. Suppose we have to write a recursive function to find the factorial of a number. Suppose we have a number n whose factorial we have to find. Then let's see the recursive function. The function is defined using def keyword, name of the function, in bracket we are passing a value. Now the base condition is when n is equal to 1. Now what is factorial? In factorial, when a number is given, we multiply this number with the next number by reducing its value by 1, and this multiplication continue until we reach the 1. So 1 is the base condition. So if n is equal to 1, return 1, otherwise return n into factorial by reducing one value of the number. So if we give the value 5, the process will be repeated again and again, and the output will be 120. Advantage of recursive function: it simplifies the complex problem by breaking them into the smaller subproblems. Useful for tasks like tree traversing, factorial calculations, Fibonacci sequence printing, etc. Leads to cleaner and more readable code for recursive problems. Now the passing argument to a function, there are basically we can broadly classify the passing of argument into two categories. One is passing by value, second is passing by reference. Passing by value is basically used when we pass the immutable type of objects like numbers, like int, float, boolean, strings, tuples, frozen cells. If we pass the immutable, it is called pass by value. And by reference we mean when we pass the objects which are mutable type, like list, set, dictionaries, bytes, and arrays. Now let's see the examples of each type. In call by value, what happened in call by value? The original value, because we are passing the immutable object, the original value does not change. Now let's see the example. In this example, we have taken a value of n is equal to 100, and we have defined a function that changed this value to 101. But when we print this value after the function, it remains the same. Inside the function, its value becomes 101, but the original value remains the same, that is 100. But in the same case, if we use the call by reference and we are passing a mutable object, like if we pass a list and we change the value of list by adding a number 100 into the list, then its value will be permanently changed. Means outside the function its value will also be changed, whereas in previous case the original value remains the same, but if we use the call by reference, the original value also changes. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe the channels. Thank you.